Hi, welcome back to ODE YouTube channel. My name is Paulo and I'm here for another day of the Inkvent calendar by Diamine, the red edition for 2021. And today is the 10th December, and where is 10 is there. It has quite a little different graphic presentation because it is a 10 like this. And let's see what we have here. So it's called, I'm curious about this color already just by the name. It's called Peach Punch and it is a standard ink. And look at that. I don't have my light being behind here, but you can see it is very transparent. So I would expect this kind of color, very peachy color, almost fitting, I don't know, a rose gold pen, I would say. And I wonder how, you see, completely transparent. I wonder how visible this ink will be on paper and how usable or useful it will be for everyday life. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'll be able to accommodate this ink in my daily use, but that's what we'll see. So stay tuned and I'll be right back to show you this ink. So let's see how really light this ink will look on paper. No need to shake it. Let me take the cap off. By the way, I've been labeling them so I know which day they are. And because I will, in the end, I will put the big box on the recycle bin, so this is the way I can follow them all easily without going to see my videos or the swatches. So let's take 3 drops of ink. 1, 2. Okay, I think it was 4 instead of 3 because that one is kind of a double ink, the double drop. Let's hope this is not too much ink for the paper to handle, and let's see. And this is really a light ink, at least it seems to be by now, while it is still wet. So we'll need to see how it will be when dry and if this is really usable with fountain pens, at least with the fine nibs that I like. So I'll be right back after this is dry. And here we have the Peach Punch, and let's take a look at the swatch that is now dry. So the Peach Punch is, I would say it has kind of a peach color, maybe a salmon color. It is between pink and orange, going more towards orange, but that's what we'll see comparing it with other swatches. So I don't have many inks to compare this with. I have several inks in my collection that are not swatched yet, and so maybe in the future I'll have more comparisons, but not right now. But today I have some. So let's compare these with, first, there is one ink that is comparable in a way, but I want to take it out of the way, which is the Parker Quink Red, which is really a red. It has the same kind of transparency as this one, but the shading is really different. Now, let's see some other inks. The Kaweco Sunrise Orange, which is a very dark orange, not this one at all. I have also here one of the nicest orange I have, which is the Montblanc Lucky Orange, and you can see it's a very bright orange, not these between orange and pink. I also have the Lamy Bronze, which is less saturated than this, less bright, but still not the same. And this would be the most similar one, the Jacques Herbin Orange Soleil, but still this is completely on the orange side. That one is on that pinkish side. And finally, I have this ink that in its lighter parts there, where it is less concentrated on paper, it may seem the same color, but then in places where it's more concentrated, it's much darker, much more red, so not really that comparable, only these lighter parts. And this is the ink from Diamine Inkvent calendar 2019, and this was the Fire Amber. So these are the comparisons I could make, and none of those is the right one. Now, we will see the chromatography of this ink, and the chromatography shows us this pink, orange, so that makes complete sense. Nothing here, so all the ink was washed away, and you can't even see the line that I draw on the paper. So the ink goes completely away with water, so no water resistance at all. Now, for these pens, I chose two very different pens, but I don't see that much difference in the line variation, so sometimes that happens, but I chose them and now we have to stick with them. One is this Faber-Castell Writink or Writink, which has this kind of fingerprint there. And it has this nib, this Faber-Castell nibs, which are always good. This one is black coated, it has some more feedback, and it is one of those strange nibs that points downwards. I also brought here the Cross Townsend Medalist. By the way, this one has medium nib. This one is cross pen, and this one has a fine nib. You can see the F there. It is a steel nib. And so when I wrote with them, I didn't find that much of a difference between the lines. And we have the I didn't use these pens, both these pens, for a long time, so I was not used to them at all. I made the writing samples in the three papers that I usually use, which is the not very friendly Moleskine paper. Not friendly, but many people use this kind of paper. I use the Oxford Optic paper, which is a better paper. This also the copy paper by Navigator, which some people may use also, and Rodeo. So let's start with the Moleskine. Moleskine is not fountain pen friendly, and you can see that the behavior is not bad at all, and you can even see some shading on the ink. You can see a little bit more shading with the Writink because it has a slightly larger line. Here it was written with the cross, here it was written with the Faber-Castell. There is a little bleed through as usual because this is Moleskine paper, but no feathering, which is nice. We then change to Oxford Optic paper, and there is some shading, but not as much as you can see on the Moleskine paper. But the ink looks more pink on the Oxford than on Moleskine, and no bleed through, so perfect behavior on this paper. And then we have the Navigator copy paper, which is the worst in terms of shading, but there is no feathering also, so not bad. The color, I think, shows really well, less pink than in this paper, and just some little bleed through in some places where the ink was applied in a heavier way. So, if you ask me, is this an ink that I would use a lot? Myself, I don't think so. This is, again, one of my least favorite inks from the Inkvent calendar. And why is that? Of course, this is a personal thing. This is an ink that I don't find myself using it. I don't see myself using it. Of course, I will use it because I have these inks and it's time to use inks instead of buying more and more. But I like bright, very bright orange inks like these, which I use to replace red for some highlighting or some underlining some things, marking texts. I like to use a very bright orange in replacement of red. This is not bright enough for me. It has a very pastel color. I don't see many uses for it. Of course, I can use it for some marking some text, but if I had to choose, I think I will use up my remaining stock of Montblanc Lucky Orange before I go to this one. Okay, this is it. Now let's go for the Rodeo, for the final part of the video. And on this Rodeo dot pad we have the drying time. This is drying time writing with the cross, and we have around 45 to 50 seconds to have it completely dry. So it takes quite a while. So there is a risk of smearing if you are writing with it. And then when you put some water on top of it, as we could predict from the chromatography, no ink is left on the places where water was applied. So this ink completely washes out from paper. And there is again another thing that sometimes I think is how well these inks will be in the light fasting part. Will they resist to long-term exposure to lighting? I'm not sure, but I will not test it now, so it's just a question. Sometimes these kind of colors don't do very well. So finally, let's use the cross to write the sentence. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Another thing that I find this ink to be is not very well lubricated, so you feel that the nib drags more on the paper than with some other more lubricated ink. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And let me show you. There it is. I think both pens behave in a similar way. In the Rodeo we can really see some shading. So I think in terms of shading the Rodeo is better than the Oxford paper, but when we are talking about sheen, which this pen doesn't have, the sheen is amazing in the Oxford always. So this is my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry for being a little late now, but I couldn't do this on time. And this is all. I hope to meet you here again tomorrow for another Diamine Inkvent Calendar 2021 review. So, bye.